The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Alien leaders from various planets filled the room, their colorful skins and strange features reflecting the diversity of the galaxy. They gathered to discuss a growing concern: the humans of Earth. High above, a large screen displayed images of Earth. Bright blue oceans and green continents stood out against the dark backdrop of space. But the leaders were not here to admire its beauty. They were worried about the humans and their rising power. "The humans are becoming more advanced," said Zaylon, a tall alien with shimmering silver skin. His voice echoed through the hall. "They have made new weapons and ships. We must not underestimate them!" A murmur ran through the crowd. Some leaders nodded in agreement, while others looked skeptical. "I say we take action now," declared Veltra, a leader with sharp features and fiery red skin. "If we attack quickly, we can crush them before they become a real threat." From the back of the room, a human ambassador stood up. He was a tall man with short brown hair and a confident demeanor. His name was Jonathan. He had come to represent Earth at the council meeting. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to him. "Your concerns are valid," Jonathan said calmly. "But I must warn you, if you want war, prepare for a fight." Laughter erupted in the hall. The alien leaders found his statement amusing. They looked at each other, shaking their heads. They could not believe that a simple human could challenge them. "War? What do humans know of war?" sneered Veltra. "We have conquered planets, and you think you can stand against us?" Jonathan remained composed. "You may think humans are weak, but you do not know what we are capable of. We have fought many battles to protect our world. If you choose war, you will be surprised by our strength." The laughter faded as the weight of his words sank in. Some alien leaders exchanged uneasy glances, but Veltra remained unconvinced. "Enough of this nonsense," Veltra snapped. "We will not be threatened by a primitive species. Let us vote on the best course of action." The council members began to discuss their options, ignoring Jonathan's warning. They debated whether to launch an attack or to gather more intelligence on Earth. The discussion grew heated, with many leaders eager to take action against the humans. As the debate raged on, Jonathan felt a sense of urgency. He knew that time was running out. The longer they waited, the more prepared the humans would become. He tried to interject, but his voice was drowned out by the chaos in the hall. Finally, after much arguing, the council reached a decision. They would send a fleet to Earth to intimidate the humans and show them who was in charge. The leaders believed that a show of force would be enough to scare the humans into submission. "Prepare the ships," commanded Zaylon. "We will show them that we are not to be trifled with." Jonathan's heart sank as he listened to the council's plan. He knew that this would only escalate the situation. He tried one last time to reason with them. "You do not understand. If you attack, the humans will not back down. We will fight for our home." But the council members were already dismissing him. "Leave us, human," Veltra said, waving a hand. "Your words mean nothing to us." As Jonathan left the hall, he felt a mix of anger and determination. The aliens were making a grave mistake. He rushed back to Earth to warn his leaders of the impending attack. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council prepared their fleet for departure. Ships of various shapes and sizes filled the docking bays, their engines roaring to life. As the fleet launched into space, the council members believed they were heading towards an easy victory. But deep down, Jonathan knew the truth. The humans were ready to fight. They would not surrender easily. The council's laughter would soon turn to fear, and the galaxy would witness the strength of humanity. The warning had been given, but the aliens chose to ignore it. Now they were about to learn a lesson they would never forget. The galactic fleet soared through the dark expanse of space, its ships glimmering like stars against the void. The council leaders, confident in their strength, sat in the command ship, eager to show Earth their power. They believed the humans would tremble at the sight of their approach. Little did they know a storm was brewing on Earth. Back on Earth, Jonathan hurried to the command center. He knew time was short. As he entered the room, the atmosphere was tense. Military leaders and scientists gathered around screens, monitoring the alien fleet's movement. Jonathan stepped forward, his heart racing. "We have to act fast," he urged. "The Galactic Council is coming to attack us. They think we are weak, but they are making a huge mistake." General Hayes, a tall man with a stern face, looked at Jonathan. "We have been preparing for this. Our defenses are strong. We can handle them." Jonathan shook his head. "It's not just about our defenses. They will come with full force. We must show them we will fight back." The room buzzed with tension as they all realized the gravity of the situation. After a quick discussion, they decided to activate the newly developed defense systems and prepare for the worst. The humans had one chance to prove they were not to be underestimated. As the alien fleet approached Earth, the council leaders felt a mix of excitement and arrogance. They looked at the view screen showing the blue planet growing larger. Veltra smiled. "Soon, we will teach the humans a lesson they will never forget." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the command ship. A voice announced, "Entering Earth's atmosphere!" The leaders jumped to their feet, ready for action. Outside, the first wave of alien ships descended, each equipped with powerful weapons. The humans were ready. A massive force of fighter jets, tanks, and advanced weaponry awaited them. Earth's defenses had been fortified, and Jonathan's warnings had not been in vain. The alien ships unleashed their firepower, bright beams of energy slicing through the sky. But Earth's forces stood firm. Fighters zoomed into the air, darting between the incoming blasts. Anti-aircraft guns roared, sending missiles flying towards the alien fleet. Jonathan watched from the command center, his heart pounding. He saw Earth's forces engaging the alien ships in fierce combat. The sky lit up with explosions, and the sounds of battle echoed all around. "Focus fire on the lead ship," General Hayes shouted, pointing at a massive alien cruiser. The soldiers followed his command, launching a barrage of missiles. One missile struck the cruiser, causing a massive explosion. The alien ship spiraled out of control, crashing into the ocean below. The alien fleet, stunned by the humans' fierce defense, began to retreat. But Veltra was not ready to give up. "Regroup and attack again," she commanded. "We cannot let them win." As the alien ships regrouped, Jonathan realized the battle was turning in favor of the humans. Their determination and bravery surprised the aliens. The humans were fighting back with everything they had, refusing to back down. But just as victory seemed within reach, the alien forces launched a surprise counterattack. The second wave of ships swooped down, firing indiscriminately. The sky erupted into chaos as blasts rocked the Earth's surface. "Fall back! We need to regroup!" General Hayes yelled as the command center shook from the impact of blasts nearby. Jonathan felt fear creep in, but he knew they had to keep fighting. In the midst of the battle, the humans proved their resilience. Fighter jets darted around alien ships, firing precision shots. Ground forces held their ground, using tactics learned from past wars to fend off the attacks. As the day wore on, both sides suffered losses. The humans fought valiantly, and the aliens, realizing they had underestimated their opponents, began to panic. The council leaders watched the battle unfold, their expressions shifting from confidence to worry. Finally, as the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the battlefield, the alien fleet pulled back. Veltra, furious, slammed her fist on the console. "We cannot lose to these creatures!" But the humans had made a statement. They had defended their home and fought fiercely against a powerful enemy. Jonathan, watching the retreating alien ships, felt a surge of hope. "Today we showed them we are not weak," he said, turning to the military leaders. "We will continue to fight. This is just the beginning." The humans were prepared for whatever came next. They would not back down, and they would show the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with. The first attack had failed for the aliens, but the war was far from over. The command center buzzed with energy as humans processed the aftermath of the first battle. Reports of damages and victories filled the air, but one thing was clear: the aliens would return. General Hayes stood at the front, his expression serious. "Listen up, everyone!" he shouted, bringing the room to attention. "We faced the aliens today, and we proved we can hold our ground. But we cannot rest. We need a plan to counter their next attack." Jonathan stepped forward, determined to help. "We have to think like them. They believe we are weak, and we need to show them our strength. We can't just defend. We have to take the fight to them." The leaders gathered around the main screen, which displayed the damage done during the battle. Images of the alien ships and the wreckage floated above Earth were highlighted. The humans had to be smarter if they wanted to win. "We need to gather more intelligence on their ships and tactics," said Dr. Lee, a brilliant scientist. "If we know what they are planning, we can counter it effectively." General Hayes nodded. "We should send out reconnaissance missions. Small groups can sneak past their defenses to gather information. They will never see it coming," Jonathan added. "And while we gather intel, we need to prepare our technology. Our scientists have been working on a new type of weapon, one that can counter their energy blasts. The team brainstormed ideas late into the night. The atmosphere was tense, but determination filled the air. Everyone knew what was at stake. They had to protect Earth at all costs. As the sun rose, the humans prepared for the next phase of their plan. Small stealth ships, designed to be fast and quiet, were loaded with brave pilots. Each pilot understood the danger ahead, but was willing to take the risk for the sake of humanity. Jonathan looked at the pilots before they left. Remember, you are the eyes of Earth. Gather as much information as you can, and if you see an opportunity to strike, take it. We are counting on you. The pilots nodded, their faces set with resolve. They launched into the sky, disappearing into the clouds. Back at the command center, the scientists worked on the new weapon. It was an energy shield generator designed to absorb the alien blasts and redirect the energy back at their ships. It was risky, but could turn the tide in their favor. Days passed as the reconnaissance missions continued. The pilots returned with valuable information about the alien fleet's movements and strategies. They learned that the aliens relied heavily on their massive cruisers, which were slow but powerful. Jonathan knew this information could be key to their victory. Now we know their weaknesses, Jonathan said during the briefing. If we can target their cruisers first, we can weaken their entire fleet. We need to create a diversion to draw their attention while we strike. General Hayes leaned forward, a spark of excitement in his eyes. What if we use drones? We can send in a swarm of them to confuse and distract the aliens. While they focus on the drones, we can launch our attack on their cruisers. The team quickly began planning the operation. They worked around the clock, setting up traps and strategies. The atmosphere in the command center was electric with hope and adrenaline. On the day of the operation, the humans felt ready. The pilots took their positions in the fighter jets, adrenaline pumping through their veins. The drones were prepped and launched first. They soared into the air, buzzing like angry hornets. As the drones spread out, the alien fleet emerged from hyperspace, unaware of what lay ahead. The humans watched as the aliens took the bait, firing at the drones that danced around them. "Now!" General Hayes shouted. "Launch the attack!" With that command, the human fighter jets shot out of their hiding spots. They swooped in on the alien cruisers, targeting their weak points. The battle erupted in an explosion of light and sound. The humans fought with all their might, and Jonathan led the charge, determined to protect his planet. As the chaos unfolded, the humans knew they were fighting not just for survival, but for their place in the galaxy. They had a plan, and they were ready to show the aliens that they were not to be underestimated. The time had come to strike back, and the humans were prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would make their stand and fight for their future. The war had only just begun, and they were ready for the fight of their lives. The day of the big battle dawned bright and clear. Tension hung in the air as humans prepared for what would be the most significant confrontation with the Galactic Council yet. In the command center, the atmosphere was electric with a mix of fear and determination. They had a plan, but now it was time to put it into action. General Hayes stood at the front, looking over the gathered military leaders and pilots. "Today we show the aliens that we are not just defenders, we are warriors." His voice rang out steady and powerful. "We have trained hard and we have a strategy. We will strike at the heart of their fleet and make them understand that Earth will not be conquered." Jonathan, standing beside the general, felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He looked at the faces of the pilots. They were a mix of fear and excitement. "Remember," he said, his voice calm but firm, "we are fighting for our families, our friends, and our home. Together we will make history." As the fleet prepared to launch, Jonathan watched the screens filled with images of the alien fleet moving toward Earth. Their massive ships loomed in the distance, dark shadows against the blue planet. It was an impressive sight, but the humans were ready. "Let's go!" General Hayes shouted, and the pilots raced to their fighters, hearts pounding with adrenaline. The roar of engines filled the air as the jets took off, climbing toward the sky, ready to meet the alien threat. As they approached the battlefield, the alien fleet came into view. Ships were arranged in tight formations, their energy weapons glowing ominously. The humans flew in low, trying to avoid detection as they prepared for their attack. "Drones deployed!" A voice crackled over the comms. The swarm of drones shot out ahead of the fighters, buzzing like a cloud of angry bees. The alien ships turned their weapons toward the drones, firing blasts of energy that lit up the sky. "Now!" Jonathan shouted, and the human fighters swooped in from above, diving toward the alien cruisers. The battle began in a furious explosion of light and sound. Missiles launched, energy blasts exchanged, and the air was filled with chaos. The alien cruisers, surprised by the sudden attack, struggled to defend themselves. Jonathan's heart raced as he maneuvered his fighter, dodging enemy fire and firing back at the alien ships. He could see his fellow pilots engaging in fierce dogfights, their skills shining through in the heat of battle. "Target the cruisers!" General Hayes commanded. "We need to take them down!" The humans worked together, forming teams to target the largest threats. They flew in formation, using their numbers to outsmart the larger, more powerful alien ships. Explosions rocked the battlefield as human fighters hit their targets. The alien fleet began to lose cohesion. Jonathan felt a surge of hope. "We can do this," he shouted over the comms. "Keep pushing forward!" But just as victory seemed close, a massive alien ship emerged from the shadows. It was larger than any they had seen before, bristling with weapons and shields. This was the flagship of the Galactic Council, and it was ready to fight. "Everyone fall back," General Hayes ordered. "We need to regroup and rethink our strategy." The humans quickly adjusted, retreating to a safer distance while trying to maintain their formation. Jonathan's heart sank as he watched the alien flagship's powerful weapons begin to charge. They won't give up easily, he realized. "We need to hit them hard before they can unleash their firepower." Thinking quickly, Jonathan formulated a new plan. "We have to distract the flagship while we take out its defenses," he said to his fellow pilots. "If we can disable its weapons, we might stand a chance." The team rallied, and with a new sense of purpose, they flew back toward the flagship. The alien ship loomed ahead, but the humans were not afraid. They split into two groups, one to create a diversion while the other targeted the ship's weapons. The diversion team zoomed in, firing missiles and energy blasts at the flagship's hull. The massive ship turned its attention to them, its weapons firing wildly, but Jonathan and his team were quick, weaving through the onslaught of fire. "Now!" Jonathan yelled as the main attack group dove in, targeting the flagship's weapon systems. The humans fired their missiles, and a loud explosion rocked the flagship. The tide of the battle began to shift. As the flagship's defenses faltered, the alien ships around it lost their coordination. The humans seized the moment, launching everything they had at the remaining alien forces. With determination in their hearts, the humans fought harder than ever. The skies filled with explosions, and one by one, alien ships began to fall. Jonathan felt a rush of triumph. They were winning! As the last alien cruiser exploded in a flash of light, cheers erupted over the comms. "We did it!" Jonathan shouted, a mix of relief and excitement washing over him. The humans had fought bravely, and they had sent a powerful message to the Galactic Council: Earth would not be easily defeated. The big battle was won, but the war was far from over. As they surveyed the battlefield, they knew that greater challenges awaited them. Together, they would face whatever came next. The atmosphere in the command center was charged with anticipation. After the hard-fought victory against the alien fleet, the humans knew that the Galactic Council would not back down easily. They would retaliate, and the final showdown loomed on the horizon. General Hayes gathered his top officers to discuss their next move. "Today, we have proven ourselves as warriors," he said, his voice steady, "but we cannot let our guard down. The Council will send everything they have left to crush us. We must be ready." Jonathan sat at the table, his heart racing. He felt the weight of the upcoming battle pressing on him. "What's our strategy, General?" he asked, leaning forward. "We need to strike hard and fast," General Hayes replied. "Their flagship is vulnerable after our last attack, but they will be prepared for us this time. We will use a two-pronged approach, a direct assault on their flagship while we distract their smaller ships." The plan was risky, but Jonathan felt a surge of hope. "We can do this if we work together," he said. The officers nodded. Their determination mirrored in their eyes. As the hours passed, the humans prepared for battle. Fighter jets were checked, weapons loaded, and pilots briefed on their roles. Everyone knew that this fight would be unlike any other. In the distance, the alien fleet began to gather again. Massive ships emerged from the shadows of space, their ominous shapes lining up like dark clouds on the horizon. The humans took a deep breath, readying themselves for the fight ahead. "Let's do this!" General Hayes shouted, signaling the launch. The fighters soared into the sky, engines roaring with power. Jonathan's heart raced as he climbed into his cockpit, adrenaline coursing through his veins. "Stay sharp, everyone!" Jonathan communicated over the comms as they approached the alien ships. "We need to stick to the plan." The humans split into their designated groups. The distraction team would engage the smaller alien ships, drawing their fire and attention. Meanwhile, Jonathan led the assault team toward the flagship, their target locked in. "Here we go," Jonathan shouted as they flew into the chaos of battle. Missiles flew, and energy blasts lit up the dark void of space. The humans pressed forward, their determination strong. The distraction team engaged first, darting between the alien ships. They fired missiles and energy blasts, drawing the aliens away from Jonathan's team. The smaller ships chased the humans, and for a moment it seemed like the plan was working. "Now, assault team, go!" Jonathan yelled as they made their move toward the flagship. They zoomed in, firing missiles at the enormous ship. The flagship returned fire, energy blasts lighting up the dark expanse. The battle raged on, and Jonathan's heart raced as he maneuvered his fighter through the chaos. "Keep pushing!" he yelled, rallying his team. The flagship loomed ahead, its massive weapons ready to fire. As the flagship turned its attention toward Jonathan's group, he saw the opening he needed. "All pilots, aim for the rear weapons," he commanded. "That's our best chance to disable their firepower." The assault team focused their attacks on the flagship's rear weapons. Explosions erupted as missiles struck their targets, and the flagship trembled under the assault. The humans felt the tide turning in their favor. But just as victory seemed within reach, a massive energy blast erupted from the flagship, hitting one of Jonathan's fighters. The explosion lit up the space around them, and Jonathan's heart sank as he watched his friend's ship disintegrate. "No!" he shouted, pain piercing his chest. "We have to keep fighting." Fueled by grief and anger, Jonathan pressed on, leading the charge with renewed determination. "This is for our fallen brothers and sisters," he yelled over the comms. "We fight for Earth, and we fight for each other." With a fierce determination, the humans rallied around him. They pushed forward, their weapons striking the flagship with everything they had. The flagship shuddered, and smoke billowed from its damaged hull. "Keep the pressure on," General Hayes commanded, his voice resolute. "We can't let up now!" The battle raged as the humans targeted the flagship's remaining weapons, and one by one, they fell silent. The alien ships around them began to retreat, fear evident in their movements. As the flagship weakened, Jonathan saw the chance they needed. "All fighters, target the flagship's core!" "This is it!" he shouted. With a final push, the humans unleashed a barrage of missiles at the flagship's core. Explosions erupted, and for a moment, silence filled the battlefield. Then a blinding light engulfed the flagship as it erupted in a massive explosion, shaking the very fabric of space. Cheers erupted over the comms. "We did it!" "We did it!" Jonathan shouted, disbelief and joy flooding his voice. The remaining alien ships scattered, retreating into the depths of space. The humans had won the final showdown, sending a powerful message to the Galactic Council: Earth was not to be underestimated. As the dust settled and the victory sank in, Jonathan knew this was just the beginning. They had fought for their planet, their homes, and their future. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. United in strength and purpose, Earth had proven its place in the galaxy, and the humans would continue to fight for their freedom.